welcome to Tiny Acres Homestead. Today we are going to render down some of the fat from the hog that I ordered, and we're going to make lard and can it up for cooking purposes. And it is still frozen because that makes it easier to cut and deal with, so it's not all slimy and everything. This part, I've got leaf lard and belly fat here. This part is belly fat. And I'm not really going to separate out the two because I don't really make pie crust, so. It's really frozen. This knife doesn't want to go through. And this is really thick. You want to cut your chunks as small as you can. That way it takes less time to render down and everything cooks more evenly so it doesn't get scalded. And I'm going to put it in this crock pot. And we're just going to render it on low for several hours until it's ready, and then we'll put it in jars. So this is a lot harder than it looks, especially if you're like me and your knives are not sharp. There is lots of fibrous tissue in this fat, and that will cook out of the fat whenever you put it in your crock pot or your frying pan, or however you want to render it down. I don't trust it not to burn in a frying pan. So, and then you got little pieces like this that have little bits of meat. You don't want any of that in your lard, so whenever it renders down, those pieces will actually cook, and you can eat those. They're called cracklings. And there is quite a bit of fibrous connecting tissue in the fat. At least it is in the belly fat. The leaf lard fat is going to be a little bit easier. Now I'm making a lot of weird faces, but this is really cold and really hard. You want all your chunks to be about the same size. Probably should have thawed this out just a little. Just let it sit out for a little bit. May have made it easier to cut. But I can already feel the greasiness on my fingers from where I'm touching it, and my fingers are melting the lard. But I'm going to get the rest of these cut up and I will come back whenever I start on the leaf lard. Alright, so these are the leaf lard. They come off of the kidney or in the inside of your hog instead of on the belly or whatever. And these don't have, stop. These don't have as many pieces of meat left on them. Some of these from the belly fat had pieces of meat left on them still.
Yeah, I can see that.
But the fat will just render off of those.
These can picture you.
Also have fibrous tissue inside them, and they're a little bit more thawed out, so it's going to be harder to cut these up.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm watching you in this camera.
I'm taping.
Yeah.
We're taking a video.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will use this for like pie crust because it's supposed to be cleaner and everything, but
you need it in there. I want to make some oatmeal.
Oatmeal. That's
apparently my kids don't care that I'm taking a video because they're going to do whatever they want.
I'm hungry. I haven't ate anything all day.
Yeah.
Anyway, a lot of people will make pie crusts out of the leaf lard. Ding, knock the camera over.
Sounds too.
But I don't make pie crusts because I don't really make pie, so we're just going to cut this up and render it down with the belly fat and just put it in.
And there's a horse.
And I will show you how much we get whenever everything is cut up. So it's 7 pounds of pork fat filled up I think this is my 8-quart. Yeah, this is my 8-quart crock pot. Now this probably won't give me 8 quarts of lard because it will shrink. But it will give us quite a bit, and we can use those to cook with instead of using vegetable oil or butter. I'll probably still use a lot of butter because I like butter. But I will keep you updated on its progress. So this has been going for several hours, and as you can see there's still lots of big clumps, but they are rendering down nicely. I've stirred it a few times since I got it in here, and it is just about time for us to go to bed, but it should be ready for canning in the morning. Okay, so it's been about 7 hours. And if you'll notice, this lid is ajar. That is to make sure all of the liquid, all the water, leave this, because you do not want water to be inside of your lard because it will spoil. And I think last night it went a little long without being moved around and stirred up. Everything got stuck together, so we're doing that now. Hopefully everything's still now, not all of these are going to melt. They will turn into cracklings, and they will be edible. Like these are done. So I am going to drain them into this bowl. And they will be crunchy little treats later. When I get all of these out, we're going to put this hot grease into jars. I'm probably going to use pint jars because it will be easier to to get the lard out of whenever I'm trying to cook than it would be if I used quartz. There's a lot of these. I think maybe next time I'll cut it smaller, that way the cracklings are not so big. Some of them are probably way too big to eat in one bite. I think my bowl's too small. I think I'm going to grab a bigger bowl. This is not a bigger bowl, but it is another bowl because that one is full. Probably should have salted these while they're still hot. It looks like there's about half a crock pot full of grease still, so we'll probably get about 4 quarts worth. So I'm going to finish straining these out, and then I'll show you how we put it in jars. Alright, so you will want to have your jars and lids and everything ready, a funnel, and a strainer, because there's going to be some little particles that don't want to be, that still want to be in your jars. So as cleanly as you possibly can without getting grease all over your jar rims, start ladling it in. And I'm just going to fill it up to about 1 inch head space. Move on to the next one. After I get all of these filled up, I'll show you the finished result. Well, since this is grease, we need to wipe the rims with vinegar because water will not cut through the grease. And then we'll get our rings and lids on, and they should seal up on their own. And it doesn't matter if they don't, because this is just grease. It's not going to attract any bacteria or anything. So this is purely for the sake of keeping the dust out of them. as much as I thought I was gonna get. Got 3 quarts worth because I've got 6 pint jars. And I used wide mouth jars to make it easier to get the lard out once it solidifies. And these are still really, really hot, so they should seal up. And once they cool, they'll look much different, so I will show you what they look like when they get cool. And we're just going to leave them right here on this towel to cool when we get everything cleaned up. Right, here is what the finished product looks like. It's like a creamy white color. We ended up getting 6 wide mouth pints. This one's got a little bit less. And I'll probably use it first because I dropped some particles in it whenever I was straining. So it'll get used first. And these will be used to fry meat with. And I'm just gonna keep the lids and stuff on there, and they all sealed from just the heat of the hot grease. So they are ready to go.